Hello and welcome to Taking You to School with Dr. Tom Prichard. I'm your host, JP John Paz from the two-man power trip of wrestling. Of course, joining me, the star of the show, the former WWE World Tag Team Champion, one of the greatest trainers ever in the history of the business, the Doctor of Desire himself, Dr. Tom Prichard. Dr. Tom, how you doing today, sir?
John, I'm doing great on a nice Wednesday evening. How about you?
I am doing good. What is going on in the world of the
We
JPWA?
just got done with the promos, and I think we're in the ninth week, so we're coming up on a fast close here with JPWA.
Nice. Have you been keeping up at all with the WWE and what's going on in the build to WrestleMania 41 here?
A little bit. I watched the clip of Cena Cody, and I thought it was awesome. Yeah, I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch a full 2.5 or 3 hours, whatever they got going on now.
Did you like the promo exchange just as far as like the cheap shots, if you will?
Well, that's what made it so great, is because he's saying what everybody's thinking, and he's he's pretty authentic with it. So I think that's great.
Ibsen. Hello, Ibsen.
Ibsen.
Brendan. Hello, Brendan. The modern day cowboy himself. Good evening, gentlemen. Zippo. Hey,
Zippo.
Paul Shaw. Doot, toot, toot.
Then Michael Hayes tip of the hat.
Yes.
Michael just turned 66.
Oh, happy birthday to Michael P.S. Hayes.
That's right.
Dwayne Anglo, Mr. Austin 316 himself. He says, what are your thoughts on Miro and his re-signing with the WWE?
I think it's great. I think it just goes to show that Hunter wants to bring back guys who he knows can work, and Miro can work. I think Miro just got caught up in stuff that everybody gets caught up in sometimes. Well, not everybody, but some people get caught up in getting. I don't know if it was hurt feelings or not understanding when to step up. I don't know, but it's good to see him come back.
That's an interesting thing with Miro because obviously AEW really wasn't using him. If you looked at his whole time in AEW, he only wrestled like 30 something matches. It was crazy in all those years. So they really
Yeah,
weren't using him. And then obviously his contract expired and he's gone. So good on WWE. Miro is quite the good gimmick, quite the good hand,
yeah,
quite the good
good
worker.
on Miro. Yeah, good for him.
Yeah, I'm
So
pretty high on Miro. When I first saw him, I saw him. God, this is going back years ago at a house show. I think he did the dark match. I was like, who the hell is this big Russian dude? Is this guy? He's got something here.
yeah, yeah, I think that's what everybody thought when they first saw him.
Interesting that I read. I don't know how true this is. That him and Lana, how they got a divorced and they just renewed their vows, if you will. I was reading online. I don't remember if it was Dave or somebody, or maybe it's PW Insider said that was a work that they never really got divorced. Did you ever hear this?
I never heard that. No,
Isn't that
I
crazy if
didn't.
that's
I
true?
didn't. Well, I didn't know they even declared they got a divorce.
Yes, or they were separated, and supposedly that might have been a work, but I don't know. Weird stuff. But they're back
Yeah,
together now.
good for them.
Yeah, good for Rusev, Lana Day and Rusev Day and all that stuff. Maybe she'll come back with him.
Hey, you never know. Anything can happen in WWE.
Bad Street USA, happy birthday, Bad Street. Oh, ATF, could this rash of tornadoes be solved by with punching from the hands of Stone Ronnie Garvin? Yeah, what's going on with
I
all these tornadoes?
Yeah, I have it on good authority that the Weather Channel has been in contact with Ronnie, and they're in negotiations right now to make a special cameo and try and get rid of the tornadoes.
Phil, happy hump day, John and Doc. Hello, Phil.
Well, thank you, Phil.
Jason,
Jason.
hello, Jason. Barbara, so good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Hi, John. Nice to see you as well. Hello, Barbara.
Hello,
Hello.
Barbara.
Ibsen wants to know about Ludvig Borga, who was on the Dark Side of the Ring episode last night. How was Borga backstage during his brief run? How was he around you and Jimmy
We weren't
Del?
really. I wasn't really around Borga that much. I mean, very very little. So I didn't see a whole lot of his stuff backstage, but uh, I mean, I've heard from other people that he could be a complete jerk. So, but
Yep.
I was never around him long enough to make an opinion.
Yeah, he was not well liked in this episode. That's for sure. Cornette did not like him, and Jr. was did not like him at all either.
Well, those are two office guys he had to deal with, and he probably didn't care for them. So,
Yeah, not a positive episode as far as some of the guys talking. Sometimes if it's a Bam Bam or somebody, they'll have guys that are on there very positive about it, but not really much on the Borga end. There was a lot of negativity with Ludwig.
well, Ludwig brought a lot of negativity on, I think. So,
Attitude wise,
I guess, yeah.
did he ever have an attitude with you?
No, I wasn't around him long enough.
Mitch wants to throw this in there, which is a good point. Rusev entrance at WrestleMania on the tank was pretty badass. That was a great entrance.
I thought it was too.
And
Yeah,
apparently, him and Lana, he said they did have sex in the tank. So just to throw that out there, that Rusev and Lana did indeed do the deed in the tank. So I
good
don't know if
for
that makes
him.
the tank even more cherished by the fans or not. But cool entrance, that's for
Well,
sure.
so would that be right before the match? Is there
I
loading in or?
I don't know. That was not specified. I'm not sure, but I just thought that was an interesting tidbit as far as the tank is concerned.
And Rusev said that.
Yeah. Yep. And Lana. Yep.
Okay. Oh, so it was said. Okay.
Look at Craig. I just finished smoking a really good joint. Good thing Chris Colt isn't here to bogart the thing on me. Look at Craig smoking.
Craig, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you're holding such hard feelings towards Chris, but he's gone now. I think it's time to let it go. Just relax,
Yeah. Craig's
chill.
still pissed. He's still
Yeah,
pissed.
yeah.
Ibsen says Jim Cornette did many Survivor Series promos with Ludwig Borga on camera, but they did not click or clash off camera. So what was going on with Cornette and him?
Again, I really don't know. You're asking me about something I have very, very extreme limited, and by limited I mean none, no knowledge of.
Cornette was not too complimentary of Borga at all. He just
Hmm.
basically said he had a look, he had a presence, and that was it. He didn't like anything else about him. He said his attitude was horrible.
Probably was. He probably hated it over here.
It seemed like just from his ex-wife talking, like he wanted to become famous over here and then go back to Finland. Like his goal was, maybe be like a Schwarzenegger type, but then not stay here, become famous, do movies, do wrestling or whatever, and then get out of here. And
Did they speculate how the end came for him? Did they speculate why?
yeah, so he was really heavy into drugs and alcohol, and that was definitely like impairing himself big time. That definitely led to his decline. He started having so many issues where like he was losing all that muscle mass and stuff, so he wasn't really the same guy. He also, which good point by Mitch here, he did actually end up getting deported. So not only did he want to leave, he had to leave because he was deported. So,
Hmm.
which is obviously part of the issue too, because they found drugs, they found weapons, they found guns in his I think his California home. So he was deported as well. So he wanted out, and they basically forced him out.
So why did he kill himself in the end?
Broke up with or his girlfriend. Like, I don't know if it was his new wife or it was his girlfriend. She wanted to dump him because of his drugs and alcohol problem. He was, not. I think it was if I remember correctly, it was like a prior incident that they had together where he spent some time in the hospital where he tried to shoot himself because she was leaving him at that point. But because of drugs and alcohol, he was just totally spiraling out of control. he had to leave his job, and I guess it's like a parliament that he had. He had to leave that, so he was no longer a public figure. He started losing his muscle mass because of all the drugs and alcohol. Just, just
Everything unraveled.
yeah, everything like was ruining for him. Yeah, and then they were saying he was very extreme right wing white supremacist as well.
Wow.
Did you ever see the SS tattoo that he had? Jr. was talking about that a lot.
I don't remember where he had his SS tattoo.
On I don't know if it was his right leg or his left leg by the calf. So it was covered by his boots when he wrestled, but in the locker room, people could see
Yeah,
it.
I didn't notice.
It's very interesting thing because JR was like, oh, as soon as we found that out, he's like, everything went downhill from there. He's got an SS tattoo and this and that. He's like, that did not sit well with anybody.
Well, yeah, I can understand that.
Ragu says, I heard he assaulted Scott Norton, who was practically passed out drunk. Yes, they talked about that. Yeah, so he basically which when they were in New Japan Pro Wrestling together, and obviously Tony Halme, what's his name here, was real name, and that's what he was using in New Japan, was becoming a bit of a star over there, was the tag team champion, but he got into a bar fight with Norton, who apparently was drunk, maybe a bit of a cheap shot, and he knocked him out unconscious and did some damage, and then was presumably quickly fired from New Japan Pro Wrestling after that. So the
Oh, wow.
big fight with Norton.
Yeah, well, not a bright guy, I guess.
Not good. Yeah, but basically KO'd Scott Norton, which is pretty impressive. But obviously, some
Well,
other
if you're half
factors.
drunk, I mean, yeah, or practically passed out drunk. If you're drinking in Japan, yeah, I don't think it'd be that hard to knock somebody out, especially wasn't expecting it, or maybe he was
Yeah,
expecting it. No, I don't know.
didn't seem like it from all the stories that I've heard, and I even read over the years that it didn't seem like he was expecting it was a cheap shot, and that kind of added to the firing as well because people were not happy the way that all went down for him. So he didn't ingratiate himself to that locker room either. You know what I mean? No, he wasn't being friendly with anybody in that locker room either.
Well, he had demons, that's for sure.
Dwayne on Borga, do you think his political run in Finland caused his career? I guess maybe to end. Is maybe what Dwayne means there. What about the political career in Finland?
Well, I don't know. Was he wrestling still?
Nope.
Well, then and he was famous for politics in Finland until he got kicked out, I guess.
Yes.
And that probably caused whatever it caused.
It is kind of a weird thing that a guy with no like political background can just do that. But then you think it's happened in the States too, like where a guy has no political
I know a
background.
couple people that's happened to.
Yeah. So it's almost like just the fame and the popularity kind of shoots him up the political realm over the political spectrum, where he's basically a part of the Finnish parliament or whatever it is, basically because he's Ludvig Borga, and then they kind of find out what he's all about, like his politics. Like they almost vote him in because he's Ludvig Borga, but then they don't really care about his politics until he's in, and then they're like, wait, this guy might be a little crazy, might be a little extreme.
Yeah, yeah. So that'll learn you, I hope.
He was saying a lot of racy things when they were, they were talking about what he was talking about in some of the interviews in Finland.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy, little,
Yeah.
for a public figure, for sure.
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility that a crazy person would be elected. I mean, anywhere. And just because he had some fame, maybe in Finland especially, he probably was one of the biggest stars of the time. So it's not out of the question.
Mitch is saying here, I never knew he was in the UFC and tapped out to Randy Couture. Yeah. His first fight in the UFC, Borga meaning Tony Halme, was against Couture. Couture's first fight in the UFC was this fight as well. So, yeah, very interesting kind of career there. And
So
obviously,
did he win any fights in UFC?
No, and I don't think he had any MMA wins at all. He might have been 0-3 or 0-4, something like that, or 0-2 maybe. But he had a bunch of boxing. Like he had a bunch of boxing wins. I think 20 boxing wins or something like that, but never any MMA. The thing was, and I've heard this from his former trainer, former agent. I've heard this that he would only train like when he wanted to. He wasn't focused. He thought Couture was smaller than him, so he would kill him just on sheer fact that he would just knock him out with a punch. But what happens in MMA is it's not just boxing. He goes to punch and just crazily runs at Couture, goes to punch. Couture just ducks, takes him down. He's a wrestler, gets on his back, and then puts him in a rear naked choke and chokes him out. And he taps out. So it's like, man, he just thought like, oh, I'm huge. I'm going to knock this guy out with a punch, and didn't really care about training.
Well, there you go. That arrogance kicked in on him and got him beat.
Another interesting thing they didn't talk about in the documentary there on Dark Side of the Ring, and I don't know if anybody would have this information, but I was told that he used to get himself cranky on purpose. Like he'd get a girl or girlfriend and not finish the deed, if you will, not finish the job, to get himself angry, blue balls, if you will, the old blue balls, and get him even crankier for the fight. And that was his preparation instead of doing real training. So I was like, man, that's a unique way to go about it. Interesting. All right.
Well, if that wasn't a red flag,
Yeah.
yeah.
He could have maybe cared a little more. You know what I mean? Maybe trained. Especially if you kind of look at Couture. I know maybe at then people weren't too familiar with him, but obviously when all said and done, one of the all-time greats, you got to prepare for that fight.
Yeah. Well, obviously he learned a hard lesson. Maybe he didn't learn a hard lesson.
Dr. Sebastian Longstaff, alcohol messed up his life. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Alcohol's messed up a lot of people's lives now. Come on.
Do you think Tony Halme was more famous for participating in the local version of Gladiators or wrestling? He was in the American Gladiator, the Finland version, and kind of doing big things over there, and obviously becoming famous here, but even more famous over there. It did American Gladiators or whatever their version of American Gladiators. You think more famous from that or wrestling?
I have no idea. I mean, I didn't know he was a gladiator over there, so he's more famous to me in wrestling. So I had no idea he was a gladiator in Finland.
Going back to Rusev here, Ibsen says you would think that the deed was done with Rusev in the tank during rehearsals the day before, is what Ibsen is saying. Interesting.
Oh, it would have been so much better for his right before they went out.
Yeah, I would kind of think so as well.
It's still, I won't discount it. It's still not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig is saying a few weeks back you talked about diving off the top of a cage. Lamp Storm did it picture perfect in a YouTube video called The Promoter. Bad News and Cyrus caught him. Do you have any recollection of Lance Storm teaching you how to jump off the cage?
I have no idea what he's talking about. Did we talk about diving off the top of the cage a few weeks ago?
According to Craig, I don't remember, but
I don't remember that either.
But I believe Craig, although he did say he's high right now, so you never know. You know what I mean?
That's true. And so I don't know, Craig, but it doesn't ring a bell to me.
Vanderstar, memories of your match with Chris Candido in EC Dub.
That was a lot of fun, man. It really was. It was a lot of fun.
Did you like teaming with him more or wrestling against him?
I would rather wrestle against him.
He was a good hand.
Well, that's a derogatory statement. Not meant to be, but that's a derogatory statement.
Oh.
Because Chris, yeah. And I understand that, but Chris could work with anybody, and that was a blessing and a curse. If he would have been 6'2", I mean, if it's in the Lord life, if he wouldn't got on the plane, but yeah, I definitely would have liked wrestling again.
Didn't Onita get into political office, Zippo? I believe Onita did too.
I think he did, yeah.
Great Sasuke did, and he would wear the mask.
Yeah.
You know that? Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of guys do get into political office. Paul Shaw with another little one-liner here. That'll learn them. That's why they brung him.
There you go. You know what I meant, Paul.
Yes. Handy Randy Couture.
Yep.
Scorch. Hey, Scorch. Dr. Tom, why is there so much wrestler drama at airport baggage claim carousel? Scott Steiner, Jennifer Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, JBL, Steve Blackman, the list goes on and on. Yeah, what's going on? With people getting cranky when they come
Well,
off the
wait a
plane,
minute.
maybe?
Who's Jennifer Hogan?
I think that's Hulk's new wife, isn't it?
Oh, okay. Does
I'm
she
not
have
sure what
problems?
happened to her. Yeah, I'm not sure what
Yeah.
happened to her at the baggage claim.
I don't know. I just think it happens to other people too, because I've seen the video clips of passengers punching gate agents and getting in fights in line and stuff like that. So it's not just the boys. I mean, it's other people out there too. I think the boys just have a target on their back. So, uh, but yeah, I mean, if you've been flying, let's just say in a middle seat, because yeah, sometimes they're just middle seats. That's all you can get. You've been flying for a couple hours and had to wait another 45 minutes at the gate. Can't deplane yet. You want to stretch out. All you want to do is get your bag, go to the gym, or go to the hotel. And then you have people who don't know how to travel and who just don't know. And I think that's what it comes down to.
Man, JBL and Blackman got a fight, right? Were you there for that? They got a fight
No,
at
I
the.
was I wasn't there for that. It was just John messing with Steve, and Steve didn't want to be messed with. That's what I'm saying. You know, you had maybe a window seat or whatever you had, and you're tired, you're hungry, you want to train, you want to go lay down, or you something. Blackman probably want to go work out. John was just, I think, playing with him. What I heard, Steve took great offense to that.
Maybe not the right guy to mess with.
Yeah, but John was just playing.
Yeah.
He didn't care.
The interesting thing here from Magazine is about Mick Foley. Magazine says Mick Foley's sons' names are Huey, Dewey, and Michael. I guess his wife was against having the name Louis by the time they got to the third son. He could have been Huey, Dewey, and Louis. That would have been
That
nice.
would have been awesome. Yeah, I think that would have been great.
Did you see Foley got in a really bad car accident? Did you see that?
I did not see that. Where was the car accident?
Um,
Was it in Louisville?
I don't know. I thought it was somewhere in New York. I thought that the car accident was, but the car looked horrible. But he was fine. He gave a thumbs up. He said he just had some soft tissue injury. He's not going to miss any of his comedy tour dates. So thank God, Foley. He literally might be the toughest man alive. He's getting. If you look at the car, it looks just like total destroyed, and he was fine. So he might be the toughest man alive. Let's see here. Ibsen says you can pinpoint what Vince liked about Borga if you could. What would it be? Would it be his promos, being a legit boxer, his size? What do you think Vince would like so much about Ludvig Borga? Did we lose Dr. Tom? Is Dr. Tom still with us? Is Dr. Tom still with us? Oh, I think we lost Dr. Tom for a second. We'll wait for him. But for me, with Ludvig Borga, I would think that Vince definitely loved his size. Definitely loved probably the legitimacy because he's a legit tough guy. Vince marks out for, I think, a lot of the guys like that. But I do think that his size, he just looked like a pro wrestler. He just looked like somebody who could definitely just kick ass and just like destroy people. And I think that's just he had a perfect look for a wrestling heel or wrestling villain. And I think Vince probably fell in love with that, and he probably absolutely loved that. Ibsen is saying Jennifer Hogan and Scott Steiner had an altercation because Scott called Hulk names while he waited for his bags, and she stood up for Hogan against Scott. Oh, okay, interesting. Oh, Jennifer, that's right. That's not his current weight. That's the ex-wife. The ex-wife. We're still waiting on the return of Dr. Tom here. I think he lost his internet connection, probably from those tornadoes. But while waiting, I'll just answer this. Thoughts on Rusev? We were talking about that a few minutes ago. Great that Rusev has returned to the WWF. Great re-signing. And I think that's a great thing. Dr. Tom, you're back.
We just got back. Yeah, I was out for a little while. I don't know what happened.
We were, again, asking about Rusev. So we were saying that you absolutely love that Rusev is back.
Of course I do.
And Jennifer Hogan, by the way, was the ex-wife of Hulk that got into it with Scotty Steiner at the airport.
She got into it. Okay. Well, that must be it.
Zippo thinks that you got cyber bombed.
Possible.
The good doctor thinks that you were dealing with a sick patient.
That's possible too.
Dwayne says not featured in Dark Side of the Ring. Tony Halme, aka the Finland Hellraiser Thor, remember he was the Viking in Herb Abrams' UWF, was not featured versus Cowboy Bob Orton in the Blackjack Brawl. So no UWF. Well, they did mention UWF and Herb Abrams, but they didn't mention the Blackjack Brawl. I feel like they should have.
You talking about the UWF Herb Abrams?
Yes. He was the Viking. That's where he made his debut.
Oh, okay.
Kind of green. Kind of an interesting gimmick.
Yeah.
Speaking of Borga, Matty R wants to know, how did Meltzer get to be a judge on one of the early UFCs? I believe it was number 9. How do you figure that? What do you think about Dave being a judge?
Maybe he knew somebody who knew somebody who knew somebody.
I know he covers MMA. I don't know if that played a part of it
sure,
as well.
Sure it did. Yeah. No doubt.
Let me see here if I could pull up this Mick Foley, this car accident that he got into, because the car is pretty damn crazy.
So he was hurt?
Not as bad as you would think, judging by the car. He seemed like he was okay.
Good.
Let's see if I can pull this bad
was
boy
it one car accident?
Yeah. Yep.
What happened?
I actually don't know what the heck happened. I don't know if you could see there. I don't know if
they fully hospitalized with a minor concussion after car accident. Oh my gosh!
Well, the car looks destroyed there. But it looks like it's a one-car accident, so I'm not sure what the heck happened.
Yeah, somebody has to be at fault.
Going back to Meltzer, he covered MMA for a while, and kind of was one of the first guys to cover MMA. So I wonder if that plays a role, or
I think that certainly plays a role, because the way he would write his stuff, it's an editorial almost, or a what's the word I'm looking for? Opinion.
Oh, the opinions, yes.
Yes, and they're his opinions. So he obviously is knowledgeable about the fight game. I'm pretty sure, wrestling and boxing and MMA and stuff like that. So yeah, I can see that. I can totally understand that.
Just want to throw this out there for Ludvig Borga before I forget, because Ibsen sent me this great WrestleMania 10 Earthquake versus Ludvig Borga. This was supposed to happen and did not happen at WrestleMania 10. So we were supposed to get Borga and Earthquake, but Borga hurt his ankle really, really bad in that match at Madison Square Garden months earlier versus Rick Steiner. So the injury kind of ended that run. But just interesting to note that it was going to be Earthquake against Borga at the pay-per-view. Also rumored was he might have even gotten the main event against Lex Luger at that pay-per-view. So a lot of rumors about WrestleMania 10 and Ludvig Borga, oddly enough.
Well, obviously, none of that came into play. So all rumors.
Jason saying, I remember flying from Hawaii to Phoenix in the middle seat during the middle of the night, having to go to work as soon as I got in. I can understand the irritation at the baggage claim. I agree.
Yep. Sure can. I've done that too. Flying in the middle seat, and you're just cramped. And you know, if I'm in a window seat or even on the aisle, I give that guy in the middle armrest. You know,
Yep.
because
Yep.
that's just he's already stuck in a bad place. It's
I
bad.
agree. Totally agree. Do you think WWE will allow Paige, aka Soraya, to wrestle if she returns?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah, she could still wrestle.
Yeah,
She did
exactly.
AEW. I think, yeah, she definitely would do it in WWE.
Yeah.
What is the meaning of Tony Halmay's tattoo, exit only? Did you see this? He had it on his lower back. It says exit only. Cornette said it was a homophobic tattoo.
What else could it be?
Yeah, I don't know why he would need that or want that, but that's kind of crazy.
Maybe he had an experience and he just wanted to make sure everybody understood.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, yep. Dell says, good evening. Did you see Linda Hogan's sad viral video where she blames Hulk Hogan for her life going down the drain? Linda caused Hulk a lot of grief as well.
Yes, she did. I did not see the video, but
Crying, talking about Hulk, and Hulk ruined her
it's
relationship.
all his fault.
Yes. All his fault that her kids don't even talk to her anymore. I think only Nick does, the daughter doesn't. But yeah, that all Hulk's fault. But yet Hulk has a good relationship with the kids. So I
Right.
don't know.
Charlie,
Crazy.
that was Charlie the pool boy.
Right,
Wasn't
right.
she with Charlie?
Yeah, who's
That was his
Brooks
name, right?
Brooks'
Yeah.
age and Brooks' friend. Yeah.
So is he not around anymore, I guess?
Nope. Nope. He broke it off with her. Broke it off. Yeah, she looks terrible. Not good. And Hulk put a video out there of him and his current wife, who's, very pretty, very young, and they're eating popcorn together, basically watching the fiasco that is Linda, like making fun of her. So Hulk took a shot at her after she took a shot at him.
Yeah. I can see that. I can totally understand that too.
From Paul Shaw, Dr. Tom, Big Paul Shaw. Dr. Tom, were you in Japan when Cowboy Bob Orton kicked the Yakuza in the nuts?
I was not there. Never heard that one.
ATF, why do you think, or who do you think, excuse me, would win a fight between 40-year-old Dolly Parton and 40-year-old Reba McEntire?
Whoa. I think Dolly would win because it'd be fixed.
Yeah, she can't lose.
She can't lose.
Sebastian's talking about the exit only. He says suspect tattoo.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Yes. He was also on the international team on the Survivor Series pay-per-view. He was on the main event. He was the final guy eliminated as Luger pinned him basically to end kind of his run as a main eventer and run the end of that feud because, Luger and Borga, it seemed like were destined to have this big one-on-one feud, but Survivor Series 93 kind of ended that, I believe, for Borga. I still would have had Borga in the main event of WrestleMania 10, but that's a different story for a different day. I'm a huge Ludwig Borga
That's
fan.
a different story altogether.
Yep. Joe Bowler, the Beverly Brothers should have held the WWF Tag Team titles. Do you agree?
I agree 100%. Yeah, they should have had at least a run with it.
That would be kind of a cool idea. I kind of agree. I love the Beverly Brothers. I think they were awesome.
Yeah, I like the Beverly Brothers.
Frank Nordquist. Hello, Frank. He says, hello. What are your thoughts on Bret Hart being inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for the third time? This time, the induction is for his match against Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13.
Well, I think that's great. I'm glad they're inducted a match. I hope that becomes something too. One of those classic matches you look at and inducted in. There's a match that we used. It's not just me; it's other people too, and noted and talked about it. The match with Harley Race and Terry Funk from 1977. It's a classic old school match. Can't do the same finish they did then today because it involves blood and guts and things like that. But there's a lot of matches like that out there where they can induct it in the Hall of Fame. Buddy Rogers and Pat O'Connor for that time, and I think it still holds up today. You just have to watch it, and understand that was the style back then. So, but I think Bret and Stone Cold that was an epic match, and I think it really began things rolling with Steve.
Big time. Put Steve on the map. Big time. I
Yeah,
mean, he was getting there, but that really put him on the map. The double turn, Brett turns heel, he turns babyface. I mean, that just really set Austin off.
yeah. So it was a great match.
I love that they're doing that. And obviously, they said somebody from UFC suggested to WWE that they do it because that's what they do. They put some of their fights into the UFC Hall of Fame. And Triple H or Nick Khan or whoever said that's a great idea. They ran with the idea.
Yeah, yeah. So it is good. Be interesting to see what else they come up with in the years to come with this, because it's going to be customized to Triple H and Shawn and however they want to form that thing, and they got a lot of leeway there, so it'll be interesting. It'll be good too, I think.
Yes, definitely. Joe Bowler, great point here. He says the woke generation is dissing Hogan. Hogan deserves respect for making wrestling mainstream, making wrestling what it is today.
Well, you're always going to have people hating the heroes and loving the villains and vice versa and everything else. So I mean, um, people are allowed to have their opinion. I mean, Hogan, but they can't deny what Hogan did for wrestling. They can't. It was a 50-50 deal. You know, without Vince, there was no Hogan, and without Hogan, there was no Vince.
Yep.
So he was a guy.
He made it all happen.
Yeah,
We wouldn't be here today without the Hulkster.
that's true.
Any idea who the oldest working wrestler is? Is it Chick Donovan?
You know what? Chick, I think, believes he's the oldest working wrestler, but I think I could be wrong. The oldest working wrestler today might be Chick Donovan.
Mike Jackson, too.
Mike Jackson, but I think Mike retired. How old is Mike?
Mike is 70. Let's see. Mike Jackson. Let's find out how old he is.
Yeah, because Chick is like 78, maybe.
Mike
79?
Jackson is 75. Okay. But I believe he will soon be retiring. But I think that they might be working GCW coming up. Chick is 78. So
Yeah,
Chick is
78.
oldest. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So even if Mike didn't retire, it didn't matter. He's still 3 years younger than Chick.
Yep, it's true.
Did Dr. Tom wonder what Jolene looked like? Dolly is gorgeous.
Well, quite honestly, I didn't even start thinking about Jolene until I got to Tennessee. And yes, I did wonder what she looked like.
Also, she said you should be in the Hall of Fame 3 times. Something seriously wrong here. Wow.
Wow. Well, thanks, Barbara, but we know where that goes.
Yeah. Did you ever work with the Yipster, Jumpin' Jeff Farmer?
No, but he is on the most horrible interviews of all time, right?
Yeah. Motley Crue? Yep. Yeah, such a
Yep.
bad interview.
Yeah. No, I never had the opportunity to work with old Jumpin' Jeff.
You know, you mentioned Terry Funk before. Joe Bowler said, God bless Terry Funk.
Yep.
Who do you think drank more alcohol, George Jones or George Thorogood?
It's a good question. You know, George was no show George for a long time. No show Jones for a long time, excuse me. Due to that evil devil's alcohol. So I have to say George Jones.
Ibsen says the Mountie stood up to Ludvig Borga when he accused him of slashing his tires. The Mountie found out it was actually the Steiner brothers. I believe it.
What?
I
don't know. Why would the Steiner brothers slash his tires?
Because they love doing stuff like that, probably.
I don't believe that.
Who knows?
There are a lot of things, but I don't think they're vandals.
They're awesome. Come on, they're the best. Did you ever show your students Austin versus Bret Hart?
Yes.
Oh, Ibsen wanted to know. Score says, I have some good news about Brian Knobs. It turned out that his foot is actually healing, and there's a good chance it will not need to be amputated. So that's awesome for
Well,
Knobs.
that is awesome news. That's good. I'm glad for Brian.
Vanderstar is saying Kamala will be the next announced inductee into the Hall of Fame. That would be awesome. That would.
Are there more? Are there more? Are there more to induct?
I think they usually do 6 or 7. I think they're only at 5 right now, technically. Yeah, Triple H, Luger, the Natural Disasters, Michelle McCool, and then Austin and Brett. So 5, that would be 6. Yeah, I think they probably need 1 or 2 more.
Okay.
Mason, Mario Mancini was bashing The Undertaker on a recent podcast. Bashing The Undertaker is almost unheard of. Do you ever recall anyone else having heat with Undertaker?
No, I don't. Don't recall anybody having heat with Undertaker.
Do you believe Mario Mancini's doing that? If that's true?
Do I think what now?
Can you believe Mario Mancini's burying The Undertaker? If that's true.
Well, I don't know really who Mario Mancini is. I know he wrestled one time, but I don't know Mario. I don't know what it'd be. He might have been bashing Taker because Taker was a little hard on him sometimes. I don't know.
Taker's first match in WWF was against Mario Mancini, interestingly enough.
So that's why he's burying him, probably.
Yeah, he forgot him along the way. Barbara is saying she's amazed the crowds are booing John Cena. Never seen anything like it. They absolutely hate him.
If he was the greatest babyface, don't you think he'd make him damn good heel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No doubt. No doubt. Craig's throwing out there Steamboat Savage WrestleMania 3. Good match to induct.
Yeah, I agree with that too. That's another one to watch.
Ibsen said he spoke to Slick on Monday. He will be honored to induct Kamala if the reports are true that he is going to the Hall of Fame. So the Slickster wants to induct Kamala.
Well, that'd be nice.
Mason said, did you ever have any interactions with the genius, Lanny Poffo? Seems like an interesting fellow.
Yes, I did. He is a very interesting fellow.
Ibsen saying 7 people in the WWE Hall of Fame. So we need a couple.
Okay.
So I'm counting Natural Disasters as 1. I'm counting Brett Austin as 1 as well.
Okay.
Hey, from Ireland, from Shadow Play, all the way in Ireland. I wonder what time it is in Ireland right now. Wow.
Yeah, what time is it in Ireland, Shadow Play?
I love that. Robert Downey Jr., Heath Ledger, and I all have birthdays this Friday from ATF. Which of us do you think is the coolest?
Oh, definitely you.
Wow, over Heath Ledger? Wow, all right.
Sure.
Kamala's family, his estate, just signed a Legends deal as well, says Vanderstar.
Well, good.
Mitch loved the Kamala belly slap. He said that's the best taunt in the business.
I'll agree with that. That's pretty good.
Vanderstar is throwing this out there. Paul Roma podcast. He said he was interviewing Mario Mancini. They had on Crush's son on the show. Very cool. Good. Undertaker loves Irish whiskey.
Yes.
Shadow Play. Is that true?
I know he likes his whiskey.
Vanderstar said Mancini was actually Undertaker's second WWF match. I thought it was his first, but he's saying it's his second. It's interesting. Magazine Retriever, Dr. Tom, did you ever work Jules Strongbow? He seems to be likable and down to earth in interviews. Jules?
I met Jules Strongbow when it first broke in Fresno, California. We rode back from Fresno to Los Angeles with the Twin Devils and stayed at the Milner Hotel. And yeah, very nice guy. Very good guy.
Look at this. Shadow Play. 3 a.m. here. I can't sleep.
Oh, so you turn on the laptop and find this. There you go.
Yep.
Good.
Ibsen saying it's 2:43 a.m. in Ireland. Yes, yes. Thoughts on England as a place to wrestle in?
I had a great time in England. I like wrestling in England. In fact, I went back Oh, I did a couple seminars over there for Andy Baker, and my last time over there with Andy, I did a 6-man tag or a 6-man or 8-man. I don't remember now, but we had a multi-man tag match, and the fans were just really into it and had a great time. So I like wrestling in England.
Paul says, I believe the slash tire story because I've heard the pencil story.
What in the Lord's name is the pencil story?
This is Big Paul Shaw here. He's going to have to come. He's got to have to explain that. What is he talking about?
Yeah.
Barbara said, I heard Ken Patera say him and Andre the Giant had a drink contest before their match. Was this common in those days? How could they wrestle drunk?
Very carefully. Yeah, there were a few guys who wrestled drunk back then.
Did they really have a drinking contest?
I don't know. I wasn't there.
If Ken Patera says it, I believe it.
I'll believe it if Ken Patera says it, yeah.
Although he did say that he did not throw that boulder through that McDonald's, and he's the only guy strong enough that could actually pick a boulder up. So it had to have been him. You know what I mean?
So you're saying you don't believe everything he says?
No, not everything. Not everything. 50-50. 50-50. I believe him on that, though, in the drinking contest, for sure.
Yeah. Right.
We need a PLE here in Ireland. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Just Sheamus on top.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like those crowds would, like, as all the other European ones are awesome. I feel like the Irish crowd would be great.
I think so.
Craig says the best jobber should be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Mike Sharp, Iron Mike Sharp, Canadian.
I would agree. I would
Canada.
agree that Canada's greatest athlete. Is that what he was?
Canada's greatest athlete. Yeah, yep. And he probably really was.
What was Gene Kaninsky's gimmick?
Same thing. I think he took Gene Kaninsky's nickname. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah,
hey,
makes sense.
I talked to Nick Kaninsky not that long ago, oddly enough.
Oh, yeah? How's he doing?
Seems like he's doing really well. Owns a bar, and he seems like he's hanging out and just loving life.
Good for him.
If the Heavenly Bodies wrestled a tag team of today, who would it be? Heavenly Bodies versus who?
Wow, that's a good question. Let me think on that.
I wouldn't mind Heavenly Bodies versus the Street Profits. I feel like you guys could have a great match with them.
We have a great match with anybody, I think, on there, but I don't know what team I'd like to be in the ring with.
Motor City Machine Guns, maybe?
Maybe so.
Who would you like to train out of this group? Sheamus, Finn Balor, Becky Lynch, JD McDonough.
Well, I trained Sheamus. I had a seminar with Becky. Don't know Finn or JD, but I think all those guys, all four of them would be great.
Best jobber for the Hall of Fame, Frankie Williams. Frankie Williams getting another mention on the show. Somebody mentioned him last week. It might have been Zippo, but yeah, Frankie Williams.
I'll go with that.
Paul Shaw says the boulder was a 30-pound rock. Who can't pick up a 30-pound rock? Come on, you know the thing. I don't know. I've always heard that it was a heavy boulder that went through that window.
Well, the years have gone by, John.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
Yeah.
Dr. Tom for the Hall of Fame. Another person wants.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Matty R said would have hated to see Iron Mike Sharp's water bill. Yes.
Yeah, the story of him being locked up in the showering.
Yep, OCD. Yep. I know Devin Storm and Ace Darling very well, and they trained under Iron Mike Sharp. So I've heard a lot of Iron Mike Sharp stories throughout the years.
Very nice.
And my first ever house show that I went to, the first match was Iron Mike Sharp versus Hercules. So Iron Mike Sharp, he left a impression on me.
He had that bad arm.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. What are your thoughts on Glenn Jacobs versus Governor Tim Walz, the wrestling match for charity? This is proposed, of course.
Well, I hope it goes through, but I doubt Waltz will do it. But I hope he does. Hope he does. It's for charity and it'd be a good thing.
Yeah, it'd be cool. Finn actually trained Becky Lynch and JD. You actually trained Sheamus.
Yes.
They also dated Finn. I'm
Oh.
guessing it's Finn and Becky, not Finn and JD. I'm guessing.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Well, I know because Finn Balor is married, so that's definitely him. So is Becky. But Barbara saying Undertaker told a story where Vince McMahon poked a hole in Big Show's air mattress. Maybe he slashed the tires.
Well, I wouldn't put anything past anybody right now these days. So possible.
I believe Scotty Steiner, when I interviewed him a while ago, I believe he did say, by the way, that he slashed Ludwig Borga's tires. I'm almost positive. I've got to go back and listen, but I could have sworn.
Maybe he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those Steiner brothers, man, they're good pranksters. Maybe that might be pushing it, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, Vander says I saw in Asbury Park, New Jersey. I think he's saying he saw Iron Mike Sharp.
He says, as did I.
Yes. Heavenly Bodies versus FTR. What about that? That would be a classic.
Oh, that'll be a great tag match. Yeah.
Best Jobbers. Kenny the Sidebuster, Jay the Hippie, Mike Boyette, and Jake the Milkman.
Mike Boyette was a trip. Mike, I rode with him when I first started too. And he was a typical old school veteran of those days. And he was out of his mind. Totally out of his mind. And I stayed with him and his girlfriend for a week.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. And, after that, I said, when can I do it again? He was out of his mind. It was a lot of fun with him.
I talked to somebody recently. They said Jake the Milkman's still alive. Nothing to do with the business. Doesn't do interviews. Doesn't want it to have anything to do with wrestling. But I could have sworn that he had passed. But apparently the Milkman's still alive.
Well.
Oh, look at this. Being a Baltimore guy, jumping Joey Maggs. Best Jobber.
Joe was pretty good. He really was.
Maybe Steiner slashed the tires because Borga has that SS tattoo, and their last name is Steiner.
Well, there's always that possibility. Hell, I don't know.
Did you know that Frank Nordquist has a number of sources, and those sources told him Iron Mike Sharp's wrist injury was a work?
I don't believe that for a second. I know for a fact that Dr. Bernard Schwartz from Los Angeles flew all the way to New York to check on Mike Sharp and make sure it was legitimate. I think he gave it a clearance. He had a doctor's note, in other words.
Heavenly Bodies versus a team from the past. How about the Valiant brothers? Well,
that would be a lot of fun. I worked with Jimmy Valiant a lot, and that would have been a lot of fun. Would have liked on that team.
Owens Cast should be in the Hall of Fame, says Ibsen. I kind of agree. That would be pretty cool. But let's wrap this bad boy up. Let's head towards the plugs. You follow me on Twitter and Instagram at 2Man Power Trip. Follow Dr. Tom at Dr. Tom Prichard. What's going on with you and your book and the JPWA?
Well, if you'd like to get my book, you can go to jpwrestlingacademy.com. Click on the training tab at the top of the page. It'll take you right to the book. If you want an autographed copy, you can email me at jpwrestlingacademy@gmail.com and just tell me what you want.
Nice. Mitch wants Horowitz versus Brawler, and the winner gets in the Hall of Fame. Don't forget about Bob Orton's cast. Thank you, Jason. Ibsen is saying to Jason, see you tomorrow. Oddly enough, which is cool. Rick Brooks. Look at this. Good to be back. Look at Rick. Okay, awesome.
Yeah, cool.
Maddie R. Jason says good night. Thank you. Thank you, Zippo. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. See you right back here next week for Taking School with Dr. Tom Prichard. See you next week, folks.